Hello and welcome to Talk Ag to Me, the podcast dedicated to improving ag literacy around the globe. I'm your host, Brennan Black, and today's episode is going to be dedicated to the World Ag Expo. I know we just came off the long week that was World Ag Expo, and I had 4 videos that went up, going over my adventures that entire week, and that was just so much fun. So I wanted to do a kind of a recap video, an overview of who I met, what I learned from talking to these people, and kind of where we go from here. So I thought that'd be really cool to just kind of recap everything and do an overview of the World Ag Expo, and just talk about what we learned from the whole experience. So I think it's important to first of all thank Carissa Chapman and Jennifer Fox for giving me this opportunity. I was really grateful to get a chance to walk around and talk to all these vendors and learn so much about what's going on in the ag world today. It was very enlightening. It was also just a fun experience. I get to hang out and talk to some great people and made all kinds of friends and met all kinds of new people that I hope that I get to stay in contact with for a very long time. All 4 days I was interviewing people and I was going, all over the World Ag Expo, and I was planning on creating a whole list of who I was going to cover and checking out the map and knowing where I was going to go. But by the time I got there, it kind of just came to a point where I was just running around and just interviewing whoever I could find that I really knew I wanted to interview. So I started off because I all week people were asking me how I was prioritizing who I was talking to, and it kind of went something like this. So a week before I went to the World Ag Expo, I got emails from probably 10 different ag tech companies saying they wanted to do interviews with me. So I prioritized those guys first. Anyone who reached out to me saying they wanted to talk, I went to their booths first. I covered them immediately and went and talked to them and just kind of got all those out of the way. And those were awesome. I'm really glad they all reached out to me. I'm going to be reaching back out to them and sending them their clips and letting them know, I appreciate their time and for reaching out and that sort of thing. But those are the first ones I covered. And then I went to all the booths that were ran by people that I knew or the people that I had connections to. That way I knew that I could get a high quality interview out of them and that they'd be willing to talk to me for the most part. So a lot of those include like Ag Source and My Job Depends on Ag and some of those other booths where I knew the people. So that kind of came next. And then from there, once I got through all of those, I just started walking through the pavilions, and anyone that made eye contact, was looking at my equipment or showed some kind of interest or said hi to me or pulled me aside, I went to those people next. And I really tried to pay attention because I noticed a lot of vendors that didn't want to talk. They're very reserved and they tried not to look at me, or they tried to avoid eye contact, or they're talking to someone else. And so I tried to avoid those ones and just go to the ones that showed eye contact and showed interest and seemed like they wanted to have me come over and talk to them. So I was very selective with who I interviewed for the most part. I tried to interview people that I had a feeling would give high quality content, and I could get a lot of good information out of. So I'm hoping that I did get all the ones that I really could have. I know there's a couple here and there that I really wish I could have done more coverage on or talked to, gotten interviews out of, like New Holland and Ritchie Brothers and some of those other ones I was hoping to get an interview out on, but it kind of just didn't work out that way. So, there's always next year, but yeah, it was so cool to get to meet all those people, and the whole live stream thing that I did with the guys from Seasonally Fresh, and that was just such a cool experience. And I really enjoyed talking to some of those people about the podcast, about what I do, about what they do, about where I should go from here, and it was just such a positive experience. And all the people on the International Agri Center Committee were so nice and so helpful and very supportive of what I was doing. I had a very nice lady named Janet that was driving me around in the golf cart for 2 of the days, and that was just awesome of her to do. And I'm really grateful for the opportunities I was given and for all the people that were there helping me all along the way. So I'm really just it's kind of crazy to think about how much this little project has grown in the last year, and we're almost at a year. In 2 months we're going to be at a year that we've been doing this thing. So it's so cool to see the support, to see the people interested, to see just to be told that I'm the future of agriculture education and ag literacy, and just it's such a unique experience that I really wanted to just talk about it. So that's I got to talk to a lot of great people. I got to make a lot of good networking connections, and I'm hoping I'm going to be getting in touch with these people over the next week. I'm hoping I can schedule a bunch of interviews to get all those done and get more information on their companies, to get, some insight onto what I should be doing here, to get some, just some good conversations flowing about the ag industry and about ag technology and the future of agriculture. Because a good theme that I noticed throughout the entire expo was that the future of ag is going to be put in the hands of the next generation of farmers. And that's something that, my generation is going to have to pick up they're going to pass the torch off to my generation here pretty soon. So I just want to make sure that we're ready. So it was really cool to learn about that, and people kept telling me I'm the next generation and that my generation is going to be the one that needs to find the solutions. And honestly, that's a little intimidating to hear, but I think that I have a lot of faith that it's possible. And after hearing what all these great inventors and vendors and exhibitors were thinking, I think that they think it's possible too. So it was just a really, like I said, it's a really great thing to hear. It was very positive and very reassuring, and I enjoyed hearing it so much. But alongside that, there also comes the very real conversation that I had with a few people, including Eric Bream and some others, about the dangers of the future of agriculture and how it's very difficult to continue with all the things that are going on in the ag world today, both in California and in the country and really in the world. And so we really need to strap down and just work on what we're trying to accomplish here. And that kind of opened my eyes a little bit to the fact that I need to get a lot more serious about what I'm doing if I really want to make a difference. And so that's something that I'm going to be focusing on a lot more as well. So the World Ag Expo, you guys heard my episodes before and during the week just talking about what exactly it is and what exactly is there. But really, my mom brought this up to me, and I thought it was kind of a cool idea. I started off all my episodes with saying that we are the podcast dedicated to improving ag literacy around the globe. And really, that's what I was doing this week. I was talking to people from all over the world and just interacting with them. I traded business cards with them and talked to them about what I do and why I do it. And a lot of them were really resonating with my idea. Just going out and having the conversation with the consumer or the farmer, trying to bridge the gap between the two, talking about concerns that a lot of people either refuse to talk about or don't even know are going on, and just really focusing on what we can do to make things better, to make our situation more livable. And so it was just kind of cool to really consider that. It is the World Ag Expo. There are people from all over the world there. And to get to talk to those types of people and really, see what their perspective on a lot of this stuff is just, it was so cool. It was amazing. And so that was really interesting to get to do. And I had a lot of people saying that, they're going to go back to their countries and talk about what they learned here this week, and they wanted to talk to me more about what I do and what I've learned so far so that I can help them understand American agriculture and California agriculture some more, and they can help me understand their country's agriculture, and we can kind of come to an agreement on how we should go about fixing the issues with both and really with the world's agriculture as a whole. So, it's crazy. That's something that I never really imagined that I'd be doing when I started this project. But I really hope it continues, and I'd like to see it get even bigger. So moving into a little bit about what I learned. I've learned, like I said, that the issues facing agriculture are much bigger than, obviously I was aware of the big issues facing agriculture. You have the drought, you have the employment issues or the lack of employment issues, really. You have the regulations, you have the lack of ag literacy, you have the weather issues, the fires, the just environmentalists fighting back. There's just so much facing the ag industry. There's a trade war going on. There's so much that we face, and it's often overlooked, a lot of that stuff. But one of the essential things I've noticed through all of the booths I talked to was that the central idea of getting their products sold and getting the new technology out there to improve agriculture of the future is getting people aware of why that product is needed. And it all kind of came back to the education of things. We have tons of issues that can't be solved just by teaching somebody about them, sure. But there's a good portion of problems that are a lot bigger than they really need to be because people don't understand how the problem came about or how to really, go about fixing it because, the origin of the problem is very obscure. And so I talked to a lot of people about that. A lot of people in the drone industry, in the animal rights. There's a group I talked to called Protect the Harvest that they're in the business of protecting farms from animal rights organizations, environmental organizations, activist groups that are anti-agriculture and trying to damage agricultural land and farmers' land. And I had this long conversation with one of them saying that, because people don't understand what's going on in ag, there's so many issues going on, but because the farmers don't think that they'll ever want to learn about what's going on in ag, they don't even try to teach them. I think that that's a little bit of a, that's, in my opinion, quitter talk. I think that just because we have a hard time communicating with the consumer doesn't mean we shouldn't try. And that was something I learned a lot this week, is that people are out there still trying to have that conversation, and they just need to find a stronger medium to do it with. And so that's kind of where I came in. I said, hey, let me help you find the medium. And a lot of them took me up on the offer. I had a lot of people interested in doing episodes with me and helping me spread the word more about what they were doing in order to get the information out there to both the farmer and the consumer about what's going on. And so I got to meet a lot of interesting people. There are some people that, besides the ag thing in as a whole, they were really just focused on my podcast and what I was doing at my age, and they're really interested in that as well. So I learned a bunch of new techniques about promotion and how to effectively gain an audience's attention, and how to market myself better, and how to keep up with those I'm trying to communicate with, and how to make better connections, and how to make better interviews, and how to do this and how to do that, and all these great skills I'm going to be taking back home and thinking about a lot. But there was so much more that I learned about really what needs to be done from here on out and who needs to be doing it. And really the answer to who needs to be doing it is all of us. We all have a role in this thing, and we all need to be working together to get our goals accomplished here. And I've been talking to the people at My Job Depends on Ag. I've been talking to the people at a bunch of the different organizations, companies, and booths that I was talking to over the week recently about how to fix a lot of these issues. And a lot of them are not easy fixes, but we're all kind of working together in this thing, and they're contributing what they can to what I'm doing. I'm contributing what I can to what they're doing, and we're all trying to work together towards one goal. I talked to a guy from Strauss Feeds in one of the interviews, I think it was in my day 3 episode, that was saying, when I first walked up to him, I was joking about, because he told me he's from Wisconsin, I was joking about how he's our competitor. We're from California, he's from Wisconsin. Our states are competitors for the top milk producing state. But his answer was, I don't really think of us as competitors. I think that we complement each other, because we're all dairies here. We're all trying to work towards the same goal. I think that the problem in agriculture today is a lot of people are competing too much. I mean, really, we're all going towards the same goal of feeding the world. And competition is great because it gets a good product out, but I think that we really need to focus on, instead of putting each other down, trying to keep each other afloat, because, I mean, we had the public to do that for us. We can always find someone to keep us down, but it's really hard to find others to keep us standing. And it was a really, it was something that I resonated with a lot, and something that I kind of wanted to take back and share with you guys, and the idea that, yes, we're all different industries, or some of us are in the same industry, and we're all trying to compete for the best product or the best sales or the best prices or whatever. But at the end of the day, we're all wanting the same thing. We all want to feed the world. We all want to produce the product of our toil. We all want to pass the torch to the next generation. We all want to make sure that we're still going to have farms in the future to be able to do that. And I think that unless more farmers start working together in terms of trying to help the industries live and thrive more successfully, in terms of trying to keep the economy more balanced, in terms of trying to keep the consumer more educated, in terms of trying to maximize their production levels in the best way possible, we need to be in the best interest of each other. All farmers need to start looking towards each other as a community and less as a competition. And that was something I took away from that really effectively. I think for the most part, farmers are pretty good about that thing, but I think every now and then, it gets, the lines get a little blurred between competition and companion. And I think that a lot of some of the ag businesses, I'm not going to say that there's a lot, but some of the ag businesses get a little bit more competitive than they do supportive of the agriculture industry, and a lot of that can be dangerous to the future of our industry here, because if we keep just going at trying to be each other, and we don't focus on trying to keep the consumer educated on what we're doing, then the consumer is just going to stop listening to either one of us, and we're both going to be screwed. So I think that there's a lot to be said about the idea that farmers need to band together and more actively work together on educating the public about what they're doing, and work less actively on trying to beat each other out all the time. And I'm all for, capitalist competition. I think it's the best way to get the products that we value today. But I also think that there's something to be said about the idea that farmers have to defend each other because no one else will. So on that note, I think that there's a lot that I'm going to be focusing on over the next couple weeks on trying to get more farmers out of their shells to talk about the things that they're doing, about the issues in their industry, about their concerns for the future, about how they're handling changes in the environment, changes in legislature, changes in their current, in their personal lives, how they're adapting to all these changes, because this is a revolution unlike anything we've seen before, and it's something that we're not handling all that well, if you ask me. I think that the agriculture community has kind of fallen behind in terms of the whole media progression of things, and I think that we need to be a little bit more proactive in how we're going about teaching others, and we're not doing a very good job of it right now. So that was kind of something I learned from this week. It's not something that I think is hopeless. I think there's a lot of hope in banding together and really getting the word out there. Is something that I was talking to Eric Bream on quite a bit, that farmers are scared to talk to the media, and so that's why we need to go out and actively teach them how to, and teach them why they need to, instead of just letting them hide away in their houses where no one can talk to them, because then that looks even more suspicious than if they were going out and talking to the media all the time. And it's just it's something that we're going to be struggling with over the next few years, but I'm hoping that it's something that changes pretty soon. And the new farmers are better about it. The newer generation is getting a lot more used to that sort of thing. But even then, I mean, it's scary to have a news reporter come onto your dairy and talk to you about what you're doing, because you never know what they're going to do with your words. And I think that's one of the biggest concerns that we need to work on, is trying to establish a newer trust of the media. And the only way we can do that is to have a media that's worth trusting. And that's another project that we're working on right now too, is trying to build media platforms for agriculture advocacy that are worth trusting, and that the farmers know that they can confide in and not have any risk of being misinterpreted or misconstrued. So that was just a little bit about what I learned. I also learned a lot about different types of technology coming out, about new methods of production that I'm super excited about, but I don't want to get too into depth with that, because I really want to bring those into longer length episodes that I plan on recording over the next couple weeks, I'm hoping. So we'll see how that goes. But finally, just to kind of wrap up on where we go from here, I talked to a lot of people about my podcast, about where to go, about what steps I need to take to get this thing to the next level. And I asked one of the guys, I'm kind of in the position where I have all of my ducks in the row. I just kind of need to know where I go from here. And he said, well, the only place you go from here is forward. And I was like, well, that's great. I mean, but that doesn't give me a whole lot of direction. So I'm working with some people right now, making some phone calls, asking for some favors and making some connections, and trying to get something lined up where I can get this thing a little bit more public. We're going to have a blog eventually, a website eventually. We're trying to get some merchandise out there. We're trying to get on Apple Podcasts. We're trying to get some big strides in this thing to occur pretty soon, because if we can do that, then I think we can really push forward this message of continuing the conversation that I've been trying to push for almost a year now. So it's something I'm really excited about. It's something I would really invite all of you to help out with if possible. And once again, I'm very grateful for the fact that I've been able to get this far with what I've done. I've been very grateful for all the support that I've been receiving from everyone that listens to my podcast, everyone that I met at the World Ag Expo, and everyone that thinks I'm doing a good job. And it's awesome to be in this position I'm in right now. It's also terrifying, because I really want to see this thing do well, and I really want my message to come across as genuinely as possible. And so I'm always open to discussion. I'm always open to constructive criticism, and for people to disagree with me, I'm always open to talk to them about why that is. But I also need help. I need feedback from my audience, from my community, to really tell me what I can do to make this thing more interactive, more effective, and more better at what I do. I mean, better about getting the message out there, better about communicating with the consumer, new ideas I can bring in to really drive home that message that this isn't a podcast for agriculture. This is a podcast about agriculture for consumers. And I happen to have a lot of agriculturalists listen to it, and I'm very grateful for that as well. But I really need this to be a medium I can use to talk to the consumer. So any way I can do that more effectively, any way I can really maximize my efficiency in this thing, I'd be very grateful for suggestions. I'd be very grateful for advice I can receive on new topics I should use, or people I should talk to, or places I should go and do more visits on styles of recording. Should I do more audio? Should I do less audio? Should I do more video? Should I do more presentations? Presentation style videos? Should I do more casual conversations, more interviews? I really don't like doing solo episodes, but I know some people like solo episodes. I mean, I need feedback on this kind of stuff so I know where to get this thing to the point where everyone's going to like it as much as possible, or at least the most amount of people possible can like it equally. So I really need your guys' help in that regard. I also need your help in continuing the conversation, taking what I taught you today, taking what I have learned and teaching it to others, taking the fight outside of where we're at. And really, if you look at it as, it's hopeless that we're never going to be able to get back, the land that we have. We're never going to be able to change the government's mind. We're never going to be able to influence the consumer because there's so many consumers that aren't willing to learn. I think that's an extremely pessimistic point of view right now. I think that that's not what we need as agriculturalists, focusing on the future generations and the future of our industry. We really need people that want to see a change and that believe that a change can be done. We just need to band together and just do it. So that's kind of the central theme I've learned from the World Ag Expo is there's so much out there that people don't understand, that a lot of farmers don't even understand, that needs to be brought to the light. And so once again, I'm extremely grateful for all the opportunities I've received. I'm extremely grateful for getting to work at the World Ag Expo and talk to vendors and make some connections, some networking, and just get some stuff done. And it was such an interesting experience. I really hope I get to work with more of those people soon and get some episodes out for you guys to really learn about these great companies and what they're doing for agriculture and for the world. And so, yeah, that's all the spiel I have for today. I'll get off my soapbox now, but that's just a lot of the things that have been sitting in my mind over the past week that I just needed to get out and I needed to talk to people about. So thank you so much for tuning in and for listening to a little bit of my, I guess you can call it, event. I really appreciate every single one of you. And like I said, I'm always looking for constructive criticism, for comments, for you guys to interact with me and to really just help me through this thing. Because I think that we all are looking for the same goal here. We all want an educated public and we all want a well-fed public. And those two things have to coexist. And so if you agree with me in that regard, then by all means, reach me in any way possible with your ideas, with your suggestions, with your advice, and I'd be more than happy to take them into consideration and to talk to you more about them and to maybe implement, ideas and output from the community and from my audience. And that's really the only way this thing's going to grow anymore, is if people help it grow. And that's kind of something I've learned the hard way, is I can't do this all on my own. I need people out there to help me in any way possible. So if you have any experience with, media, with marketing, with, promotion, with education methods, with, communicating, with any of that kind of stuff, and you want to help, by all means, I am more than willing to look for people that want to help out with this project. I want this thing big because the message needs to be out there, and I can't do it alone anymore. So that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in, and make sure you check out, if you haven't already, go check out all 4 of my episodes on the World Ag Expo. It was an incredible week, and I can't wait for next year, and I'm hoping that next year it'll be even bigger and better, and I'll be able to get even more interviews and more information, and I'll be a lot more prepared this, the next time around. But yeah, so that's it. So, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget, if you ate today, thank a farmer.